Latin America has seen its fair share of coups, insurgencies and invasions over the years, some that have achieved their aims, some which have not. But few can have failed so miserably as an attempt in May 2020 to overthrow the government of Venezuela. With a cast of political exiles, military renegades, US mercenaries and at least one president, this is the story of how the plot fell apart.
Caracas, Venezuela, May 2020. In El Helicoide, a high-security prison, Venezuelan security forces were interrogating a recently captured American mercenary.
What's your name?
Luke Alexander Denman.
What was the job proposal?
To secure Caracas and secure an airport here, bringing in planes, one of which includes one to put Maduro on and take him back to the United States.
Luke Denman had come with others to kidnap Venezuela's controversial president Nicolás Maduro, an improbable plot hatched and organized by former US Army Green Beret Jordan Goodrow, a special forces soldier who'd honed his skills in unconventional warfare during tours of Afghanistan and Iraq. Goodrow had struck a deal with the Venezuelan opposition to oust President Maduro and put them into power, in return for $200 million. But it all went horribly wrong.
Tengo la responsabilidad de alertar a la comunidad mundial y a Venezuela. Desde Estados Unidos se ha activado un plan loco.
1 year after the attempt to kidnap President Maduro, we investigate what's known and ask who really was behind that operation. We pick up the story in February 2019 at Cúcuta, a Colombian town on the border with Venezuela. A convoy of aid donated by the US and others was just arriving. There to meet it was Juan Guaidó, leader of Venezuela's opposition. Guaidó had become the head of the National Assembly on the 5th of January 2019. 1 week later, claiming the country's recent elections had been rigged in favor of the Maduro regime, he declared himself interim president. He quickly gained recognition from 60 countries around the world and called on foreign assistance. But the aid was stopped by Venezuelan border forces.
Llamamos a ustedes que ingrese la ayuda humanitaria y reencontrar a Venezuela hacia la prosperidad.
The aid may have been much needed, but it was also a clear publicity stunt designed to draw attention to Venezuela's food and medical shortages and Guaidó's leadership claims. It attracted many of his followers to the border. Some of them crossed over to join 1.7 million fellow Venezuelan refugees already in Colombia. Its government was backing Juan Guaidó's presidential bid in the hope he'd fix his country's deepening problems. Back in Venezuela's capital Caracas, President Maduro was rallying his supporters. He blamed his country's troubles on US sanctions imposed on oil-rich Venezuela to contain its socialist government.
El pueblo de Caracas se lanzó a las calles a apoyar la paz, a decirle al imperialismo y a Donald Trump, fuera tus manos de Venezuela, Yankee, go home, Yankee.
The American-backed aid, Maduro declared, was just another attempt to undermine his presidency. A standoff developed at the border, and the convoy never made it across. By the summer of 2019, the opposition had more secret plans for the removal of Maduro by force.
We need something that happened to liberate our country from these criminals that kidnap everyone.
Political consultant J.J. Randon led a team of high-ranking strategists around Guaidó. They had decided to hire private American military contractors to help overthrow President Maduro.
When a tyrant take all the power, Supreme Court, the police, the military, violating human rights. The Constitution of Venezuela specifically say that every person with or without power have the duty to do everything in their power to recover democracy.
Former Venezuelan military commanders, now in exile in Florida and Colombia, along with Guaidó, were reaching out to disaffected soldiers back in Venezuela. Among them was Francisco, whose identity we've concealed.
Mira, lo que nos impulsa, pues primero el patriotismo que teníamos de recuperar nuestro país, de salir de este tema social, ¿sí? Que está hundido Venezuela, la crisis económica, gente muriendo de hambre, por salud, sin medicamentos, no tienen un buen salario, no tienen una buena seguridad social, los utilizan a sus anchas y cometen la mayoría de las violaciones de derechos humanos en Venezuela.
Opposition fighters began gathering in camps across Colombia's northern peninsula. Alarmed, in September 2019, Venezuela's vice president revealed their exact location to the United Nations General Assembly.
Estados Unidos y sus satélites regionales preparan desde Colombia una agresión contra Venezuela, poniendo en riesgo la seguridad y la estabilidad de este continente.
The information gathered by Venezuela's Cuban-trained intelligence service was to prove impressively accurate.
No necesariamente tenemos que cruzar la línea fronteriza para saber y conocer de algunas cosas que se estén preparando contra la soberanía de Venezuela, así que siempre estuvimos preparados para recibir cualquier agresión de cualquier intensidad y tampoco eso nos quitó el sueño. Nunca nos quitó el sueño.
Into this gathering storm now stepped a former US Special Forces soldier, Canadian-American Jordan Goodrow. On leaving the army in 2018, Goodrow had set up a security services company called Silvercore USA, and he was even hired to provide security at a rally for Donald Trump. He first forged links with exiled Venezuelans in early 2019 after a charity concert, and through them met the opposition leadership, now plotting Maduro's downfall. An opportunity beckoned.
What raised our attention was three things. He said that he has authorities and contacts, a high-level government in the United States. Two, he said that he has backers, big names and big money, ready to finance something like that with guarantee of future payments in oil. And number three, that he has around 800 people in Colombia that were Venezuelans, or between 800 and 1,200 that were ready to go, and he was training them.
On the 16th of October 2019, in complete secrecy, Rendon, Jordan Goodrow, and several opposition members signed a general services agreement promising Goodrow and Silvercore $200 million in return for ousting President Maduro. In Colombia, Operation Gideon, as it would become known, soon began to take shape. Aspiring freedom fighters, many of them Venezuelan military deserters, were moved into safe houses in a town called Rio Hacha.
Se nos prohibía salir, estábamos ahí solamente en entrenamiento, las ventanas las cubríamos con bolsas negras para poder realizar los entrenamientos con visión nocturna, entrenamientos que no se vieran los facsímiles.
When Goodrow came to visit, he was received like an official US representative.
Nosotros vamos a liberar Venezuela y téngalo por seguro, si el día de mañana su nación nos llega a necesitar, nosotros vamos a estar allí, hermano. Aunque sea con una piedra, con un bate, pero vamos a estar allí.
Ellos le daban a uno las nociones y aparte de eso brindaban la táctica y te explicaban, te mantenían siempre mejorándote, ¿sí? Ya con eso ya uno creía muchísimo más en la operación.
In early 2020, Juan Guaidó traveled to the United States. There he was hosted by President Donald Trump at the annual State of the Union address. Trump made it very clear which of the two Venezuelan presidents he was backing.
The United States is leading a 59-nation diplomatic coalition against the socialist dictator of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro. Joining us in the gallery is the true and legitimate president of Venezuela, Juan Guaido. Mr. President, please take this message back to your family.
Behind the scenes, Operation Gideon was gathering pace, but things weren't going smoothly. Unexpectedly, Guaido's strategists had decided to withdraw their support. Jordan Goodrow sent Rendon a furious text in protest.
We gave this to you in a silver platter and you the whole thing up. You're a multimillionaire, shame on you for not fixing your country. You don't deserve to live in the US.
Goodrow insisted he was owed $1.5 million under a promissory note, whilst Rendon argues that Goodrow failed to reveal a group of financial backers he claimed to have lined up. Businessmen who had already promised to sponsor the overthrow of President Maduro in return for future rights to Venezuela's oil. The contract, Rendon says, gave Goodrow a 5-day window to present these backers. But according to Rendon, Goodrow failed to do so.
We say, look, we're going to cancel this. It's not working. This is not moving forward. We don't have that amount of money right now. We don't want to move forward. He basically said he has expenses. And I personally covered those expenses.
So you're saying you didn't want to work with Jordan Goodrow anymore, but nonetheless you gave him $50,000 and that came out of your own money?
Yes. Like kind of let go in a nice terms, you know, like that was the intention. It didn't work. And you give it the finger, they want the arm.
In Colombia, Jordan Goodrow's Venezuelan partner, former Major General Cliver Alcalá, was also angry. Even so, secretly recorded by Venezuelan security, Alcalá told a sympathizer he still believed his partner Goodrow was acting for the US government. Meanwhile, in the Colombian training camps, some of the more recent arrivals were beginning to attract suspicion.
Desde ese primer momento que empezaron a traer gente desde Venezuela, a mí me dio como mala espina, ¿sí? Pero nunca nos imaginamos de que iba a ser infiltrada por el gobierno. Pues era gente que estaba como convencida de que necesitábamos un cambio dentro del gobierno y todos tenían esa visión y teníamos esa convicción de querer hacerlo.
As these photos show, training in the camps was rudimentary, in part because weapons promised by Goodrow had yet to arrive. In late March 2020, a shipment was flagged down at a police checkpoint in Colombia. After months of turning a blind eye to the plotters' activities, the authorities had to step in.
Y en el conductor se le observan unos bolsos ahí dentro del copiloto, se le informa que qué tipo de bolso es eso, donde manifestó que eran unas encomiendas, a lo que se le pidió el favor que bajara y que nos las diseñara y que nos las mostrara. De primera se ven los accesorios de los fusiles y al fondo los fusiles.
The impounded weapons were later put on show for the press. They included assault rifles, laser sights, and night vision goggles that would have greatly enhanced the insurgents' fighting power. America, Colombia's close ally, was also not playing along. In a surprise move, it charged former Major General Cliver Alcalá with narcotics trafficking, together with his sworn opponent President Maduro and 2 others. Millions were offered for their capture, and Alcalá agreed to be extradited to the United States. Spooked by Alcalá's arrest, most of the trainee fighters absconded. The remainder went into hiding in the Alta Guajira desert. Among them, 2 of Goodrow's Silver Corps associates, former US soldiers Luke Denman and Iran Berry.
Al principio nosotros dormimos aproximadamente 7-10 días en cementerio y pues posterior a eso nos mudaron a un cauce de un río. No teníamos teléfono ni comunicaciones en ese momento. No teníamos noticias, no sabíamos dónde estábamos, no sabíamos la hora, sino simplemente nos guiamos por el sol. La verdad ya no tenías tiempo para ir vuelta atrás.
But according to Venezuela's defense minister, their location was never a secret.
Sí, teníamos bastante información, bastante conocimiento. Nuestros sistemas de inteligencia, hay que decirlo, están muy bien equipados.
He claims Colombian authorities could have easily arrested the men, but with US support, they were still secretly backing the plotters.
La razón fundamental por la cual Colombia se hace la vista gorda con esta situación es precisamente porque tiene una línea directa con el imperialismo norteamericano.
And so, strangely unhindered by the Colombian authorities, Operation Gideon was launched on May 1st, 2020.
Pueblo de Venezuela, quien les habla, Capitán Guardia Nacional, Colina Ibarra Robert, cédula de identidad 17-024-933, pseudo Pantera, comandante del equipo número 3 de captura de la Operación Gedeón.
Deeply compromised by Venezuelan intelligence and now down to a few dozen combatants, the would-be insurgents were still intent on going ahead. The plan was to circumvent land borders and get to Venezuela in 2 small boats.
El caballo se alista para la batalla, pero Jehová es quien da la victoria. Dios y libertad.
But Venezuela's military knew exactly when and where they were coming. In the early hours of May 3rd, as Captain Pantera's boat, the first of 2, approached the coast, it came under heavy fire.
La mamá huevo, auxilia. La están pendiendo el helicóptero, chamo, qué coño de madre. La lancha, hermano. Ahí, pero fue como la lancha, ¿verdad? Mira.
Venezuela's security forces had responded with overwhelming force. None of Pantera's 8-strong group survived. The second boat, too, was low on luck. Beset with engine problems, it started running low on fuel. It was carrying 51 Venezuelans and the 2 American mercenaries, Luke Denman and Iran Berry.
La lancha tenía un techo, ese techo lo tuvimos que quitar para el rendimiento de la lancha. Nosotros con machetes cortamos la madera y empezamos a lanzar las pimpinas, uniformes, todo al mar para poder quitarle peso a la lancha y poder ver hasta dónde nos daba la autonomía del combustible, pero no.
Although surely by now aware that his men had run into problems, back in Florida, Silver Corps' boss decided to unveil his master plan. With former Venezuelan Army Captain Javier Nieto Quintero at his side, Goodrow revealed Operation Gideon to the world.
1,700 hours, a daring amphibious raid was launched from the border of Colombia deep into the heart of Caracas. Our men are continuing to fight right now. Our units have been activated in the south, west, and east of Venezuela.
The truth was somewhat different.
Ya desde que zarpó la primera lancha, ya nosotros teníamos conocimiento. La primera con 8 mercenarios a bordo. Después vino la persecución de los efectivos de los mercenarios de la segunda lancha, que bueno, se quedaron sin combustibles y quedaron en las costas de Aragua, en esas montañas muy abruptas, muy intrincadas, donde tuvimos que hacer un despliegue cívico-militar.
As they approached the coast in their battered boat, Francisco and others decided they'd had enough.
El grueso del grupo se empieza a lanzar al mar y empiezan a tomar lo que es la montaña. Ahí ya empiezan a ser perseguidos por los cuerpos de seguridad. Los compañeros los empiezan a meter presos. Muchos nos quedamos muchísimo tiempo dentro de la montaña. Y fue la única forma que hoy en día, pues yo, por decirlo, estoy con vida y en libertad.
Francisco and 45 others had got away for the moment, but the 2 Americans and some of the group's leaders stayed on board. Policewoman Ingrid Castañeda was among those waiting for them.
Mis compañeros me dicen, huye de aquí, corre y vete a esta altura. Digo, no, si vamos a morir, morimos todos. Como pueden observar, no hay nada donde resguardarnos. Y si había que morir, moríamos todos. Le hacemos que se vengan, hacemos el llamado a la lancha, vénganse. O a la orilla, para acá. He visto a los 2 gringos dentro de la proa de la lancha. Yo los cubría de aquella altura. Para ese momento mis compañeros los esperaban, algunos ya aquí en tierra. Apenas se acostaban, los neutralizamos y sellábamos las manos con mecate y pidiendo el apoyo de los pescadores.
The men were arrested and lined up in front of the media. The presence of 2 Americans prompted the obvious question, who was behind the attempted invasion? Interviewed in the back of a police car, Insurgent Adolfo Baduel had no doubt.
En el grupo vienen 2 norteamericanos, 2 gringos.
Están detenidos.
Están detenidos. ¿Dónde trabajan? ¿Qué hacen? ¿Qué son como ustedes?
Ellos son intermediarios, como le dije al señor ahorita, que son de la jefe de seguridad del presidente de los Estados Unidos.
¿De Trump?
Sí.
President Maduro had no doubts either.
Hoy ha sido una mañana, una tarde y una noche intensa para Venezuela.
America, Maduro said, no longer used its own soldiers, but relied on private companies to fight its wars.
En Estados Unidos se ha privatizado la guerra. Las tareas principales del imperialismo hoy, de intervenir en asuntos mundiales, de desestabilizar países, se lo entregan a empresas privadas.
For once, Venezuelans across the political divide were united, believing that Jordan Goodrow had the backing of the US government. But Donald Trump's response was dismissive.
We just heard about it, but whatever it is, we'll let you know. But it has nothing to do with our government.
Up until then, the role of Venezuela's opposition leaders had been known only to insiders. But faced with criticism about his role in Operation Gideon, Jordan Goodrow decided to go public.
There is really no contract.
So you're saying there is a contract?
Absolutely. Let me see if you can read it. You can probably read it.
Guaidó es la primera firma.
In an interview with Venezuelan journalist Patricia Poleo, Jordan Goodrow revealed that opposition leader Guaido's signature was on the contract and that he was still trying to get paid.
I'm out a lot of money, a lot. But the bottom line is, a lot of us came together to do this. I mean, I've been a freedom fighter my whole life. This is all I know.
Shortly after giving this interview, Goodrow then leaked a phone recording which apparently captured the moment that Juan Guaidó signed the contract.
Hi, Mr. President. Nice to meet you.
Thank you for the time for our cause.
I think we're ready to sign. You have the contract in your hands.
We will do the right thing. Let's go to work.
We managed to get an interview with Juan Guaidó in hiding in Caracas and asked him about his involvement in the failed plot.
No tuvimos nada que ver, absolutamente nada, con la operación denominada Gedeón, una operación infiltrada por la dictadura, financiada por el régimen y que llevaron de manera muy triste a una emboscada a jóvenes venezolanos militares.
Guaidó insisted the Venezuelan government was responsible for Operation Gideon. He accused them of using infiltrators to trick the invaders into going ahead against all odds.
Muy grave lo que sucedió con eso. Nosotros queremos llegar al fondo de esa macabra operación, de esa trágica montaje que hiciera la dictadura, que simplemente le sirvió a la dictadura para hacer propaganda a nivel mundial.
Is it or is it not your voice and your signature? Can I just get a simple yes or no?
Mira, de nuevo, ya le hemos dado respuesta a esto, lo dijeron nuestros incluso asesores de estrategia, y de nuevo, no tenemos absolutamente nada que ver con la operación Gedeón.
Unlike Guaidó, Rendon has admitted his involvement. He too blames Venezuela.
I'm recognizing there was a good counterintelligence operation of the government, and me, smart guy with experience in 33 years in consulting, was like stupidly caught.
I recognize that.
I feel bad about it because people were captured, tortured, killed, manipulated. I was exposed, the commission was dismantled, the president was affected.
But saying that Venezuelan intelligence hijacked the operation, is that not just a way for you to escape responsibility?
No. I am assuming full responsibility, but in balance, I will do it again.
But not everyone is able to take the outcome so lightly.
Digo que uno se siente engañado y traicionado. El ganador, por decirlo de forma lamentable, pues el gobierno nacional. por haber primero masacrado de esa forma a la gente de la primera lancha y segundo, pues haber desmantelado la operación de la forma como lo hicieron.
Today, Goodrow continues to insist that the opposition never explicitly told him to stop working for them, and he's using lawyers to claim money from Rendon. Meanwhile, President Maduro's party has taken control of the National Assembly, in the process removing Juan Guaido's justification for claiming the presidency. In Maduro's speech to mark the reopening of that assembly, to no one's surprise, he highlighted, once again, the failed attempt to unseat him.
Están las manos sangrientas de Donald Trump metidas en esta operación y se sabrá la verdad.